What's up, everybody? All right, so here's the deal. Got the old Turbo S here. We did a little towing with this thing today, and I've noticed a little bit of looseness coming from the front end of this thing. Let's go ahead and show you what we got going on. A lot of the times when I was steering, I could feel a little bit of slop here, and one would think, you know, that might be just down at the rack, and there's a little bit of play down there. However, there was a little bit of other play I was feeling down here at the wheel itself. So if you look, this little Heim joint is actually starting to wear out a little bit, and basically what it's doing is there's just a smidge of play right here in this Heim joint. It's not every day you guys see the Turbo S like this. Let me tell you what I got going on. So, it's been a couple weeks since we've done anything for the Turbo S. The other night I got a little wild hair up my butt and decided I was going to go over the whole front end of this thing. Going around corners sometimes I feel a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a wobble as much as like a little bit of feedback. I think I've got it narrowed down to exactly what it is. So right here we've got some Heim joints. These came from Performance side-by-side bushings, and now nothing bad to say about this stuff. This stuff's great. It's been working great. I've put like, I think 5,000 or 6,000 miles on this setup. So needless to say, the Heim joint here is starting to wear out. The Teflon seal's starting to wear out a little bit, and there's a little bit of play in it. So what it's doing is when I'm going around a corner, the tire will kind of shift left to right like this, and you'll feel it kind of knock on the steering column. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to replace this with a three-piece or with a new one. I've got plenty of Heim joints to choose from. I haven't really decided what I'm going to use yet. We're also going to be checking the brakes on this thing. Just upon initial inspection, looking pretty good still. Another thing we're going to be doing is I've got a bearing that's getting a little sloppy in this one as well. So this bearing's been making a little bit of noise. I'm going to shoot some grease into it, torque this sucker down. I think the culprit for that bearing is simply because this axle actually has an arc to it, and it's been like that for, oh man, it's probably been 7,000 miles or so that it's been like that, simply because warranty will not replace a bent axle. They only replace broke ones. So we just went ahead and just been running it like it is. So that's where we're at. We got some parts here we're going to install. We got some ball joints from Kryptonite. I'll show you guys these here in a second. Here's our three-piece. These are some FK Heims. These have a Teflon. These do not have a Teflon liner in them, so they're going to have a little bit of slop as well. I still think I'm going to put them on there and just see how they feel, and we'll go from there. In the end, I might just put on some Teflon sealed ones, because over here I actually have a few that I was going to be using for the other machine that I bought. We might just use the non-Teflon ones for the radius rods for that, and then use these for the tie rods on this machine, because these are super tight fit, super tight tolerances, and they're super expensive. But the three pieces are it's like an 18,000 pound load, I believe is what it is. All right, so I've gone ahead and got everything already jacked up, put on jack stands. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of tackle this thing piece by piece. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the brakes off, pull the castle nut off of each axle, and then we're gonna inspect the bearings. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the hubs completely, pull them off the machine. Then we're gonna go ahead and disconnect our A-arms, put the frame brace up underneath there. Once we get that complied with and get that bolted back up, we'll take our ball joints out of the stock A-arms and put the Kryptonite ones in there. We'll put the A-arms back on the machine and put our hubs back on the machine as well, and then should have everything tied pretty close back up together. The last thing that we'll have to do is make sure the alignment on this thing is spot on, because driving this thing down the road, you don't want any hiccups when it comes to your steering. You want that sucker to be straight as can be. So stay tuned, guys. We got a whole lot of stuff to do. So here we can get a good eye on the pads. we can see that they're wearing super even, man. I couldn't be happier with that. That looks good. Looking at the rotor itself, a little bit of a groove, but nothing significant. All normal to me. I think we're looking good. Go ahead and press on. Pull this castle nut off, and then we'll pull this this bolt out of the tie rod here. See where we're at. All right, guys. So we've gone ahead. We've got the tie rod off. We're sitting here getting our new Heim joint set up. I forgot to mention that we're changing the steering rack boots on this thing. I bought these not too long ago, but I think what happened here is we just had this stretched a little bit too much for this 1.25 inch bar. This is only like 0.5 or 0.75 of an opening, so we got some new steering rack boots for this. Anyways, I pulled this one off, and here's something I noticed. So this is a Kryptonite hardware on this tie rod here. And one thing I noticed was that the inside joint, the boot broke. All right, so I just went ahead and I just made the judgment call to just pull the boot off of there. There's no point in having it on since I have another boot going over it anyways. I think that's probably what tore it up, is this boot here. This boot was a little tight around it, and it started getting a little hard. So this might have actually pulled the little plastic boot off. So I went ahead and just pulled it all the way off. I'm gonna put this boot on there. This thing's definitely a little bit bigger, and so yeah, this will keep everything dry, and yeah, we'll see what it looks like. All right, currently got this carrier off. Did a little greasing on it. Screwed up though, put the damn wrong grease in there. You can see the color. Yeah, it's the wrong color. You got the dark stuff, and then you got the light stuff. Yeah, that was just a mess up on my part. Whatever. These ball joints. This one here is nice. This one here, a little stiff. So, good thing we're changing those. Everything else looks to be checking out just fine. All right, guys. So I know it's tough and it's tedious to take the damn carriers off whenever you're going to grease the wheel bearings on your machine. But let me give you a little bit of an insight as to why it's probably better to do it that way. Check this out. So when you go to grease these things, one of the problems that you have is that you can't see the back side of the bearing. And normally when you go to grease these things up, that's the first place they blow out, is the back. And you'll sit there and keep, because you're a moron and you're not paying attention to what you're doing, and then you blow out the back end of these bearings. So save yourself, give yourself a bird's eye view of the back side. That way you don't fill them up too much, because you put too much in these things, you blow the seals out of them. Okay, so we've gone ahead, we've pressed out every single ball joint. Now I'm just gonna go back through and I'm gonna throw in these Kryptonites. Let me get this box open, show you guys what we got. All right, so this here is a Kryptonite ball joint. Basically, this gets rid of your old snap ring, presses in like normal, and then you actually have a little grease zerk on the bottom, on the top of it. You'll press these in, and then you'll put the caps on afterwards, lock them down. These things are pretty slick. All right, so now we've got the ball joints in there. I've gotten everything mounted back up. I went ahead and I tightened the upper and lower bolts for the ball joints. Those are all good to go. Now we got to do is torque down our castle nut, put the cotter pin back in there, and then we're going to go ahead to aligning this thing. Now, when we go to align this thing, basically what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect this front shock here, and then we're going to move over here to the driver's side. We're going to disconnect this front shock here as well. That's going to allow me to take the entire front end and put it up on blocks, so that way I can get an idea of what it would look like if it was on the ground. That's going to allow me to do my alignment nice and straight. That way you don't have any of that track and stuff going on when you're driving down the road, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm an idiot. Totally forgot. Got a frame brace right there we got to put on. So we're going to go ahead and put that on real quick. Then I'm going to do the alignment. And just like that, this sucker's back together. It's really not a lot. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty basic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the machine. I'm going to turn the key on and make sure the steering wheel is centered, you know, according to the ride command, steering wheel itself, and get these basically as straight as we can get them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our alignment sticks on here, and then we're going to get our alignment straight. The way I do this is whatever your measurement is from the back side of your alignment sticks. I measure as if I have 33-inch tires on it. So whatever the back side is, you just want to make sure that the front side measurement is 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch toe out. You don't want your front wheels toeing in because it'll make you drift all over the road. All right, guys, so I've gone ahead and I put my alignment sticks on. These things are super easy. I got some markings on here for 33-inch tires. I just do all my alignments as if I got 33s on. You know, you get relatively close. It doesn't matter if you put 35s on. Yeah, let's get to measuring. And these tie rods are pretty awesome because all you need to do is twist them to adjust them in or out. So you just loosen everything up and go from there. Just make sure that whatever adjustments you do on the right side, you do on the left side. You center everything up first, take a measurement. If you got to go, you know, apart from the back side, you make your tie rods bigger. One turn on this side is one turn on that side. Keep everything symmetrical. Already made a mistake, you know. This is something that happens, but I actually forgot to disconnect the shocks. So we got to disconnect the shocks and we got to get the suspension up. You'll find that if you do your alignment with your suspension all the way down, by the time you set it on the ground, it's not going to be true like you had it when it was in the air. So it's good to just disconnect the shocks, get those up out of the way, and then put your stuff on jack stands and then do your alignment. Fast forward. See? Just like that. So now we got our machine positioned as if it was sitting on the ground. This is going to get our geometry so much more spot on than as if you were to have the machine up in the air, because you would find that you'd do your alignment, you'd put your machine down, you'd go drive it down the road and you're like, this doesn't seem nearly as straight as what I set it to. And that's because things just change when you get down to full drip, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's pretty spot on for me. I'm gonna go ahead and get these jam nuts tightened. These things are pretty easy. I like the fact that the geometry on this thing is so spot on now. You can tell just by looking at the tie rods, just the spacing is correct from right to left. You can look at the sticks and you can verify that the plane that you watch, it goes right to the middle of the back tire. Look at it from this side. It's right to the middle of the back tire. And that's what you're looking for, because that's basically, you're drawing a line down the machine. You're drawing a line down the machine like this, and it's basically showing you where the hub's lined up to. This thing should roll just perfect down the road. We went ahead and we installed our ball joints here. I gotta hit these up with a little bit of grease, and yeah, I'm gonna get these sticks off of here, put these shocks back on, put the wheels back on it, and get this thing sitting back on the ground. Well, guys, just like that, she's back on the floor, back together. We have done everything we needed to do. Everything is aligned correct, so she's gonna drive it nice and straight down the road. I hope you guys got some information out of this video. Hopefully you guys can use it to your benefit. If you guys are interested in becoming a supporter of the page, make sure you go on to the top. There's a button that says become a supporter. Appreciate you guys' support. Make sure you share this stuff with your friends. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later.